And thank you very much for the invitation to join you. I'm going to talk to you about some of the things that are top of our mind at the ICO. So children's privacy, continue the conversation we've just had on AI, and a little bit about what that means for future regulation. So I want to start by talking to you about children's privacy. It's been high on our agenda at the ICO for a while now. But rather than starting with a list of all the things that we're doing in this area, I actually wanted to start with the perspectives of children themselves. We are lucky enough to be able to do in-depth research with children in the UK. We have spoken to 30 children across the UK, aged between 8 and 17, really in-depth. We've done what's called ethnographic research with them. So that means we talk to them in their homes, we get them to kind of show us their devices, to talk to us about what they're doing, and get a real sense of how they think about and experience privacy and the use of their data in their everyday lives. And we're also able to talk to many of the same children across multiple years. It's a 3-year project. So we're going to be able to get a real sense of how this changes as they get older and they develop. That means that our work is really rooted in this understanding of children's experiences, and that research informs how we think about, how we prioritise, and how we deliver our work. I think the first thing I would say about what we found doing that research is that for most children, the really big drivers for engaging in the online world are about fun, about entertainment, about play, and to a certain extent, creativity as well. So talking to children only in ways that focus on the risks, the dangers, the kind of ways in which they have to be careful really doesn't chime with their immediate experience, and it is not very good at countering the pull that they feel to have those experiences. It's also really important to remember, and this is obvious, but sometimes people who, like my generation, for whom it was not the case, need a reminder that children do not have clear boundaries between their online and their offline worlds. They don't think about them as two separate things. And an example of that is that lots of the children that we spoke to had really close and really important friendships with other people that they only knew online. So this is a quote from a girl that we call Ariana, who's 10, and she says, "I like how you can connect to other people and can grow friendships. I have an absolute best online friend. Her name's Stickbug, and she's the absolute best. She goes out of her way to help me on games, like she gives me really cool dragons and some fish. She even helps me understand games." And Murray, who's 13, is talking about a game that he plays called Ropes. He says, "I was ranked top 13 in the world. Top 3 is Earth." He's actually my friend. "There's my friend who's top 9, and then my other friend who's top 10, and my other friend who's top 8. So they're all getting really good." And I think what those quotes show is this is just kind of entirely as important, as vivid, as real life as what we might call the offline world. And actually for some children who find making friends in the offline world quite challenging, online can be a really important safe space for them to do that. And that friendship is a really central driver for children's behaviour online. It can create opportunities for building and deepening friendships, but it can also create significant social pressure that can drive a desire or a feeling like you need to be using online services, particularly social media, and a real fear of missing out. So FOMO is a big thing amongst the children that we speak to. Actually, that social pressure can sometimes drive privacy-friendly behaviours among some children. We did see a little bit of that. For instance, we're seeing an increasing expectation that children will share their location, not just with parents, so we do see a lot of that, which is all about safety, but also with friends and with romantic partners. Most children just see that as the norm, But we are also seeing a few push back against this and choosing to make their profiles more private because of that. So Liv, who's 13, she says, I actually took some of my friends off my location because I'd be out on a walk or something, and one of my friends would be like, oh, so you can go on a walk, but you can't go out with me. But I think, as is implied in that quote, actually, that pressure to conform with social expectations is really quite high, and that is often much more important to children than consideration of what's happening to their data, what the privacy implications are. All of those things are quite abstract and quite complex and not very immediate for children. That's still the case, even for those children who might prefer a more private experience. And I think what that means for us as the regulator in this space is that we have to make sure that the systems are configured in a way that takes some of that pressure away, that makes it as easy as possible for children to make privacy preserving choices, or in fact, that the privacy preserving choice is the default, and so they have to actively change it. So how are we responding? I think underpinning our approach, first of all, is a recognition that when we're thinking about the online world, if it's going to resonate with children, we have to be thinking about the benefits children can experience online and not just the risks. And we have to be trying to create an internet that is privacy friendly and safe for children and young people, rather than one which is just focused on keeping children out. We've got in the UK, we've got our children's code. That is a statutory code that we were asked to develop by Parliament, and it sets out our expectations of how organisations captured by that code can comply with UK GDPR, and what that means in terms of ensuring that they are safeguarding children's personal information and managing any, or mitigating or preventing any risks that come from the use of that information. Since its introduction, we've been working to ensure organisations are designing their online services with children's privacy in mind. And last year, we set out our children's code strategy, which explained that we were focusing on driving social media and video sharing platforms to make further progress in line with the expectations set out in that code. The reason we focused on those services was because of the numbers of children using them in the UK, the amount of time they were spending on them, that important role that we saw them playing in children's social lives, but also the potential risk that the use of children's personal data in these services can create. So we've recently published some of the impacts of that, and there'll be more to come soon on the impact that our work is having. But that includes real changes in compliance with organisations who we have engaged with, including on default privacy settings, so ensuring that profiles are private by default, geolocation settings, and targeted advertising. As I said, given that what we know about children's experience, it's really important that the default on those settings for children are ones which are high privacy. That makes it easier for children to resist those pressure and creates that expectation that's the norm. We've also launched 2 investigations into services which specify a minimum age of 13 on their platforms, but which don't appear to have appropriate age assurance in place to identify those children who are under 13. So those are into Reddit and Imager. We also launched a call for evidence on how recommender systems use children's data, based on our concerns that they may be creating profiles of children which result in them being recommended potentially harmful content. And we have now opened an investigation into TikTok's use of data in its recommender systems. So those investigations are all ongoing, but the outcomes will help set expectations on platforms in these areas. We've also been doing lots of work to build key relationships with stakeholders, both domestically and internationally, including as part of our International Age Assurance Working Group. And in the UK, we've been working really closely with Ofcom as they oversee the introduction of the UK's Online Safety Act. We've also learnt lots of lessons about the type of regulatory interventions that are having an impact in that sector. We've been thinking about how we use the full toolkit available to us, and we'll be making sure that that informs the work that we do in the future. And we are actively thinking about where we focus next. There's lots and lots of movement and activity in this area. We are considering a whole range of potential issues, including gaming, AI, chatbots, connected devices, and immersive technologies, where there is lots of use of children's data. So there's work ongoing to decide where we focus next. We've also in the UK had the new Data Use and Access Act, and that further sort of emphasises the importance of protecting children, including a provision that information society services likely to be accessed by children must take into account children's higher protection matters. So they have to be thinking about the fact that you need to do more to protect children, and a duty on us as the regulator too, to recognise that higher protection merited by children when we are doing our work. We're also expecting to be asked by government to produce a number of new statutory codes under the Act, including one on EdTech. So we are talking to government at the moment about what that might focus on. But we're also doing audits into providers of EdTech, and our findings will inform our work there going forward. I touched on AI in the context of children's privacy, but I think AI, as I'm sure it is for many of you, is a broader focus for us. Obviously, AI is becoming more prevalent in all of our daily lives. It influences how data is collected and analysed and used. There are huge opportunities in that. There are opportunities for businesses. There are also opportunities for all of us as citizens, because there is great potential for delivering public services more effectively, more efficiently. But those opportunities absolutely must be built on a foundation of public trust. People need to be able to trust that organisations are using their personal information responsibly and lawfully, so that they then have the confidence to engage with those AI-driven products and services. Without that, we won't get those benefits. So I think the regulation here is really crucial to making sure that the technology delivers on its potential. As we heard in the panel, there's lots of discussion both in the UK and developments in Europe on AI regulation, but the same data protection principles apply now as they always have. And we are focused on making compliance easier and ensuring at the same time that the guardrails that are set out in data protection legislation are in place, so that organisations can innovate, they can invest in AI, and at the same time that they can keep people and their information safe. We've already taken action in this area, so we have provided guidance and clarity on new areas like generative AI. We've taken action where we've needed to, so you may have seen that we intervened with Snap's AI chatbot. We also ordered Serco Leisure to stop using biometric technology to monitor its employees. And in June this year, we launched our AI and biometrics strategy, which sets out the direction of travel for our work over the next financial year. We've ramped up our scrutiny across the AI ecosystem, and we've focused particularly on those areas where there's significant potential benefit for the public, but we also know that there are concerns and potential risk of harm. We've done research with the public here too, understanding what it is that they expect, what their concerns are. That research shows that people expect to understand when and how AI systems affect them. And they're also positive about the benefits, many of them, but they are also worried about the consequences when these technologies go wrong. And that includes things like being incorrectly identified by facial recognition technology, or maybe losing a job opportunity through erroneous automated decision making. So we're going to be setting clear expectations for the use of automated decision making systems, starting in recruitment and public services. We're also going to be ensuring AI foundation models are being developed lawfully, And we're working with the police to ensure that they are using facial recognition technology fairly and proportionately. There's also lots of talk at the moment about agentic AI. That's the kind of next or current, probably, chapter of the AI evolution. While generative AI might be able to write your shopping list, agentic AI might well be able to use that shopping list, access an online shop, use your ID and payment details to place an order. And that's obviously really quite a complex use of your personal data and potentially a complicated accountability chain. So we are going to be exploring the data protection implications of agentic AI. Stay tuned for an upcoming Tech Futures report on that, as well as consultations in the autumn as we put our strategy into action.
Perfect.
So what?
I don't want to interrupt you, but we have our next speaker already on the screen.
Okay,
so
no problem.
Maybe a few last sentences.
I was just going to say that I think what that means in terms of the future is we will continue to focus on understanding the emerging technology. We will continue to work closely with others, both in the UK and internationally, but we'll also continue to make sure that we're researching to really understand people's priorities and experiences and ensure that that informs our work too. That's it.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Emily. And thank you also for your flexibility. I think it worked out just fine. Also with the panel beforehand and your keynote. And especially thank you for the interesting insights on children's privacy. That's a topic we haven't covered so far at the conference. So that was very, very interesting. And thank you for your time. And hopefully we'll see you next time maybe, or even in Germany. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
Thank you. Have a nice afternoon. Bye.